Hi, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Sammy B and TJ D. I like the sound of that.
Rolls.
Getting ready for a Week 8 here at Tozzis on 12th as we've got Jerome Pruett going to be the guest speaker today. And we'll get into Jerome as we move on. Again, we'll take the whole podium address, we'll take the speaking, we'll take the Q&A. You're going to learn a lot about a guy who played baseball here in Stark County. You may not know how good he was. Just a very quick 15-second board. I just got done talking to Ronnie Lemo, who is going to be introducing Jerome today. There was I think it's called Baseball America, had put out a publication. You know who the top two players were? I forget what year this came out. It had to have been in the early 70s, maybe. I don't want to give you the wrong date. But they had featured two players to watch out for. One was Jerome Pruett. The other one next to him was Nolan Ryan.
Wow.
That's how good this cat was. And we're going to hear some great stories today from Jerome coming up a little bit later on. All right, big fella, lots to unpack here over the weekend.
You're in baseball heaven, man. We got Ron DeWolf last week, and now Jerome Pruett.
Right.
Can't beat it.
The only thing that went wrong was the Astros won the World Series. Another discussion for another day. But we got lots to get to today. We are going to recap the Ohio High School Athletic Association football playoffs. We've got 4 teams still breathing, all right? Maslin, West Branch, Lake, and Canton South. We will get into that. We will also preview the Week 12 matchups coming up with those 4 local teams. We will look back at the college football weekend. Congrats to Mount Union, Ohio State. I'll congratulate LSU. Anytime somebody beats Alabama, I'll give you a little something. And shout out to Notre Dame for taking out Clemson over the weekend as well. We're going to talk a little bit of Cavs later. They won their 8th game in a row yesterday against LeBron and the Lakers. We'll talk a little NFL. Of course, the Browns were off. They've got the Dolphins in Miami coming up here this Sunday. And a lot of folks may not realize, did you know, tonight is the tip-off of the college basketball season. And there's a game down in Columbus tonight. And due to circumstances, I could not attend. I was given a really nice invitation, tickets, transferred the whole, but I just can't do it. But down in Columbus tonight, the Ohio State Buckeyes are taking on Robert Morris at 7 o'clock. You know who's lacing them up for Robert Morris?
Yes, I do, Mr. Frascone.
Former Tuslaw Mustang, Nate Frascone. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. It'll be on the Big Ten Network if you want to check it out. Ohio State, Robert Morris. The Buckeyes going to get together, and we'll see if Nate can get out there and play a little.
I know you're pretty tight with his dad, Gary, right?
Yep.
Do we know how he's kind of worked into the fold? I mean, is he going to be a guy that's going to get some minutes tonight?
It depends on the health of one. He was like third at his position coming into camp. And he may see them. It depends. It depends. There's at least one returner in front of him, but I think Nate is going to see some time this year if he keeps working. I do talk to his dad frequently. Keeps me up to date on the big fella. He's been working on his moves. He's been working on his muscle, his strength. Obviously, things change when you go from high school to college as far as what you're putting in your body and your diet and your workout and your training table and all those things. So, but Nate's he had a really nice camp. I don't know if we will see him tonight. Maybe we will. But good luck to the young fella, Robert Morris in Ohio State down in Columbus. Again, that's Big Ten Network. When you're seeing this, it might actually be on or have started. So check that out. 7 o'clock tonight as Robert Morris takes on Ohio State. All right, let's start with the high school football scene from over the weekend. We lost a lot of teams, but we do want to give a shout-out and congratulations to Jackson, Northwest, North Canton Hoover, Fairless, Canton Central Catholic, and Canton McKinley. Shout-out to all those young men and their coaches and their schools and their families. Good run. And, look, next year starts today, okay? So, fellas, get after it. Get in that weight room. Listen to your coaches. Listen to your moms and dads. And keep your head up straight. Do the right thing. And those of you that did not graduate, we will see you next year. Those that are moving on, thank you for the great memories you provided us over the last several years. If you're going to go play in college, nothing but the best. If you're just going to go to school, you're going to go into the workforce, good luck to you from us as well. So, again, shout out to the Crusaders, Bulldogs, Falcons, Vikings, Bears, and Indians for a pretty good run here in 2022. So we got 4 teams left. 4! It's week 12. We have Massillon. We have Lake. We have West Branch. We have Canton South. We have 2 teams left in Division 2. And correct me if I'm wrong, West Branch and South are 3 or 4?
5. Let me see here. Let me pull up this bracket because they were all in there locked in with where Northwest was at. Northwest, Canton South, West Branch, all in that same field.
Man, where have I been? I thought this whole year they were at least Division 4.
Oh, you're right. Division 4, Region 13.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what I missed? Okay. So that's who we have left. And I said in our group text over the weekend, I think I maybe said it Friday night or early Saturday, and I'll say it again today. I think all 4 win this weekend. I do. Because of the matchups. I like all of our local teams this weekend. Now, am I saying it's going to be a walk through the park? I think Massillon probably will take care of their business. I think Lake will win this weekend, but I think it's going to be one of those nail-biters like a la Columbus St. Francis de Sales last weekend. We'll get into that. I think West Branch beats Bookdale. Close. And I think Canton South takes care of Jefferson. Now, I'm not guaranteeing this, but I think all 4 of our guys move on. What do you think?
We had some guarantees last week at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That almost came through. I'm going to tell you what, Canton McKinley, this close to knocking off Dover. Central Catholic, a Hail Mary it was a touchdown. I feel so bad for the young man. Just dropped it.
Well, was the McKinley-Menor situation not the same? Was it a pass to the end zone with about 12 seconds left for Menor that sealed the deal?
Yeah,
and McKinley had just scored within the last minute and a half.
Yeah, Menor went like 80 yards in like a minute, and I thought, no way. And they did.
That's something that'll never leave you.
No, it's tough.
You'd much rather get blown out. I've told you before, man, I'd rather take a 30-point shellacking than a 1-point, 2-point loss. And to have a team drive downer on you like that in that fashion, that kind of hurts. It's going to stick with you. But you know what? Use it for fuel in the offseason. That's really the only thing you can take away from it.
Yep.
I think, as you mentioned, 4 teams left. I think they all win. West Branch, I think they get it done. They're going to be playing Bookdale, and Bookdale really caught Northwest.
Scary good, man.
They caught them off guard. That team speed caught them off guard.
Yep.
They came out. The Griffins did from the jump, just punched Northwest in the mouth, got after him up front on the line of scrimmage. So they're going to try and do the same thing to West Branch. I think West Branch has a little bit more athleticism and strength at the quarterback spot to overcome it. They're a little bit bigger up front.
Yep.
I think they'll be able to handle it a little bit better. I don't think West Branch has ever had anybody come in and talk smack to them like the Griffs will. I heard this guy, number 55 up front, was just an absolute wrecking ball. Would love to be able to get eyeballs on this guy. They said he's a great two-way lineman for Bookdale. But with Drew DeShields being a little bit banged up, I think even if he can't go in certain situations, what Alzos brings to the table, that's going to allow him to come through, because it sounds like he's got even more of a live arm cannon than Drew does, and that's pretty scary. We talked about that a lot last week at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But now you go to Massillon down there in Mansfield. You and I both got a chance to see them last year play Big Walnut, same location, and Massillon stroked them. And I think even at that point, Big Walnut was the number 1 seed. So I think they handled business. I don't know about Lake, though. I think even though they may have had some struggle there, and it was tight against the Sales, you called that game on 106.9 and the free iHeartRadio app, but I think because of the way Hoover kind of was right in there with Westerville South, and Lake kind of dominated Hoover, I think Lake takes care of business with Westerville South easier than they did this past week with the Sales.
Well, let me throw a couple of caveats into there. If Mason Ashby doesn't break his collarbone on the first play of the second quarter, Hoover wins that game. Westerville South had no answer for Mason Ashby, and I am told through some really reliable, reputable sources that when Mason went out, so did 80% of the Hoover offensive game plan that night.
Sounds like the old stroking situation I talked about against Ohio State and Florida. You lose Teddy Ginn in the beginning, there goes your offensive package. And you're right. I had no idea that happened.
Yep, and I had a feeling. We did our preview at the Hall of Fame. I said, Mason, watch out. He is going to have a great night. And he was on his way to having a great night. And I think if he doesn't get hurt, I think the Hoover Vikings defeat Westerville South. But tough break for the young man. He's got surgery coming up. Best of luck with that, Mason, and your rehab, and hopefully we'll get to see you out there on the baseball diamond coming up here in the spring. So I think that makes me feel better about Lake's chances.
Yeah.
Westerville South, though, they're again, here's a team that's they're there. They're there a lot. I think a little bit of an advantage for Lake. Get to play at Dover instead of having to go to Mansfield or Ashland or Worcester. I think the Lake's going to have. They've been selling out their side of the stadium all year. I think they're going to pack Crater Stadium. I think that's going to be an advantage for Lake. I will also say, don't expect Westerville South to put the ball on the carpet 6 times. St. Francis fumbled 6 times.
Wow.
They lost 3, but they fumbled away 6. And I can't help but think, and I'm glad we didn't have to go through this, they have a 4th and 15 at like their own 15-yard line. Time's running out. Their quarterback did not have a good game. He's not a thrower to Sales. He's a runner. He's not a thrower. He got free. This young man by the name of Caruso somehow gets behind the defense. The young man hits him in stride. He's going to the 40, the 30, the 20, the 50. Fumbles the ball.
And no contact from a Lake defender. Just slipped out of his hands?
A little bit of a swipe. But the swipe was on the off arm, so he didn't hit the ball, and the ball comes out. Lake jumps on it, and the game's over. I am afraid if DeSales, because they still had around 30, 40 seconds. I'm afraid they may have taken it in.
And they would have just had to kick the extra point and win 14-13,
and we wouldn't be sitting here right now. Wow. So that was nerve-wracking for a lot of Blue Streak fans, but congratulations to Coach Dan DeGeorge and Lake. I mean, last week, week 1 didn't feel like the playoffs. It usually doesn't.
No.
Last weekend, man, felt like the playoffs.
So unless you're in Tiger Town.
Right. Just another run-of-the-mill. Hey, we'll beat Paul Brown's record. We'll whack somebody by 50.
Another 100-yarder for Wilkshire Hartson.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. So Massillon, good luck. Good luck, West Branch. Good luck, Lake. And good luck to Poochie Snyder and the Canton South Wildcats. Boy, did they have a shootout against Lisbon Beaver Local. They put them away. I don't know who can stop Canton South. Now, they'll give up a few.
Was that final 58-52?
50, I think it was 56-48. I mean, seriously.
Last man standing. Who's
again,
got the ball?
And TJ, with this weather, it's going to be 68 Friday again. With this weather, the offenses have the advantage. Nobody wants to get hit when it's cold or deliver the first blow when it's When it's like this, man, it's almost like spring ball. You're out there just throwing it, running it, breaking tackles. The footing is good. Be on high alert for that this weekend with these games going way, way, way high scoring. But Canton South, they can score with anybody, and we wish them nothing but the best of luck.
I don't know enough about
game.
Jefferson area.
I don't either. I think they're around the Ashtabula area. I know the game's going to be at Ravenna. So, again, not a terrible trip for Canton South and Stark County fans to go to Ravenna Saturday. West Branch, you are going to be – no, I take that back.
South Range for South.
South Range. That's in North Lima, Ohio for Canton South, okay? Oh, no, still go over there and watch them play. West Branch Hoban is going to be on the blue turf up at Ravenna. Massillon will be at Mansfield as they take on Sunbury Big Walnut. Lake will be at Crater Stadium in Dover as they host Westerville South. And we will have complete coverage of all four of those games. We'll give you the who's, what's, and where's as soon as we officially find out where we will be headed and what we're allowed to do. I'm still waiting on some confirmation from Boy, things are different when you start playing in neutral sites.
Yep.
You just can't text your buddy over at the local high school, hey, we're coming over. Now it's a whole process, and there's a seating arrangement, and you got to be on the list of the teams to say that, yes, they've done our games this year and all this stuff. So we're waiting on official confirmation, but I think we're going to be good to go with all those games this weekend, and we are certainly looking forward to bringing those to you on 99.7 FM, Rock 106.9, the free iHeartRadio app, and, of course, the Stark Media YouTube channel. And
that's the thing where OSHA has to be selective at times is whose press boxes can accommodate multiple stations.
And a lot of them can't.
You've got a traveling Westerville South who might bring 2 internets, 2 radios. Lake might bring 2 radios, 2 internets, and there you got 8 different coverage units in Dover's press box. How does that work? I haven't been down there. It's been a while. How that all shakes out. Going over to Mansfield, Arlen Field, it's big, it's vast. Not very good in the signal department. We found out years past that the towers, the cell towers, are so close to the stadium that things can bounce around over there. You're kind of at that odd point right there in Mansfield and at the corner of the roads.
Have fun with WMAN in Mansfield bleeding over your signal on Friday night. But I think Mansfield's a great place to do a game once you get in there and you get situated.
Yeah, you feel right on top of the action.
Folks from Massillon, you might want to pack 4 spare tires in your car when you're going over there. Lake will be playing down at Dover. Looking forward to being at Crater Stadium. It's a comfy place to watch a game. The home side is tremendous. I think it's going to be a great crowd. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Ravenna, West Branch, and Bookville should be a great matchup. And of course, Canton South and Jefferson area battling at North Lima South Range. Also wanted to bring up, there was a lot of wild games over the weekend. Did you happen to see what happened with Cleveland St. Ignatius and Cleveland Heights?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Holy mother of God!
They didn't want to let Chico go out like that, did they?
They said, Chico, we want one more shot at St. Ed's. We want one more. I feel so badly for the kids at Cleveland Heights. Number one, this is one of the greatest seasons they've had in the history of their school. They got a young man, running back by the name of Dorian Fair, F-A-I-R, who is going to be an absolute beast at the college level. And I felt so bad for Cleveland Heights. St. Ignatius, I don't think, ever had to play a game at Cleveland Heights, ever.
No.
But they had to by rule because Heights was the higher seed. So Heights is hosting the big bad bully on the block. They had them 42-14. 42-14 in the third quarter.
Wow.
And here comes Chuck Kyle. Here comes St. Ignatius. Back and forth, back and forth. The game is tied with about a minute to go. Cleveland Heights shakes it off, goes down the field and scores. It's 49-42 with like 30 seconds to go. Heights kicks off. Ignatius runs it back for a touchdown. Chuck Kyle puts up the 2 fingers. Men, we're going to win it. He calls the 2-point conversion. They get it. They win the game. Just pandemonium at Cleveland Heights High School. Shout out to Ignatius for not rolling over, but my God, do I feel bad for Cleveland Heights because that was a season they'll never forget. And I mean, that's you just talked about a couple minutes ago, man. That's a life teacher right there. That is a life lesson. It is so hard to swallow at that point in time. I bet you there's kids in the halls right now. Get their head down. Don't talk to me. I don't want to. Don't ask. Don't tell me good job. Don't tell me that. We've all been there. Get away from me. I want to go sit in my room for 3 days and turn the lights out. Get away from me. But it's a hard lesson to swallow. You'll be better off for it. But oh my God, I can't imagine.
And let's talk about outside of the life lesson that you learned from that. How about just the game of football lesson? Because we know that special teams become so crucial inside of a ball game, but at the high school level, at times in practice, they can get overlooked because you're so worried about making sure that your kids have the offensive and defensive game plan down pat. And I didn't see the return there at the end of the game, but
lanes
just
broken.
A simple thing about staying in your lanes.
Somebody get out of their lane.
Sometimes that stuff gets overlooked. You pound a lot of it in training camp, and then as the weeks go along, Sometimes there's just not enough time for it in the end of the season to be making sure that you're hammering, having 1 or 2 periods every day in practice that are just dedicated to special teams. And that's a tough way to go out, man. I'll tell you what, I would love to go back and see the film, but, man.
It's up on YouTube. You'll
Coach Kyle.
And he was very emotional after the game. I've never seen Chuck Kyle like that. He was very emotional. And so here you go. How about Northeast Ohio? How about an early Christmas present for some of the folks? Ignatius Eds, round 2. St. Vincent St. Mary Hoban, round 2. I would love to be able to just sit at the 50 for both those games at the same time and watch and take that all in. I think that's going to be phenomenal. Euclid is hosting Ignatius and Eds, and St. Vincent St. Mary and Hoban will be at InfoCision Stadium at the University of Akron. So
we might have some bonus coverage for you on that. On the Stark Media team on our YouTube channel. I think we might be sending up our guys Drew and Jeff and getting some bonus coverage on St. Vincent St. Mary and Hoban. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll make all those announcements this week on our Twitter feed, Stark Media team, and over on Facebook and Instagram, all that. We'll get that word out there. But a lot of coverage coming down the line, man. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
This is it, man. This is, after this weekend, next weekend we're playing for regional championships, and that means just one more till you
get it to the Final Four.
The big one. So what a great weekend. Congratulations to all the teams that made it, and shout out to the teams that just didn't quite finish their season the way that they wanted to. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun here the next several weeks. Keep it right here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Of course, iHeart with 106.9 and 99.7. And don't forget our social media platforms at Stark Media Team on Instagram, on Twitter, and, of course, the Stark Media Facebook page and our personal pages as well. We got a lot of good stuff out there. And got a nice note I shared with our crew over the weekend. People are loving what we're doing with the updates, the videos, the photos, the recaps, the quick updates of the scores, and we'll continue to do that for you as best as we can, and we certainly appreciate your feedback, and you're coming on board here with us here.
That Sandy Valley squad, the coaching staff was down there plugged in on the Stark Media Twitter line.
The text line was fired up with Sandy Valley Friday night. All the coaches were going, oh, my God, you see that score? Oh, they're having a great time. We appreciate everybody reaching out and thanking us for the job that we're doing, and believe me, we absolutely, positively love doing it. All right, so that's the scoop on the high school football scene. Again, the matchups this weekend: Massillon, Sunbury, Big Walnut, Arlen Field at Mansfield, 7 o'clock Friday. Lake and Westerville South at Dover, Friday at 7 p.m. West Branch versus Buchtel at Ravenna, 7 o'clock Saturday. Canton South against Jefferson area. Not just the team, it's the whole area. At 7 o'clock, they will be at North Lima South Range School Saturday night at 7 p.m. So what a wild, wild high school football weekend it was. As we transition, just a reminder, kind of reset where we're at here. We are at Tozzis on 12 for Week 8 to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Today's guest speaker is former baseball standout, and I mean standout. You're going to find out how good this guy was. Jerome Pruett is going to be our guest speaker today, and Ronnie Lemo is going to be his presenter. Known Ron for decades, the Lemo family, a great group, and he'll be introducing Jerome. We'll take the complete exercise up at the podium beginning a little bit after noon. We'll have the pledge, and we'll have the announcements, and then we'll have the big to-do at about 12:10 right here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. All right, let's take a look back at the college football weekend. And I want to start, because I didn't get to see this game. I was doing Mount Union, John Carroll, which we'll get into, but I did not get to see Ohio State, Indiana. I wasn't aware. Now, I know we had some gusty winds here in Northeast Ohio Saturday, 30, 35 mile an hour. I guess it was worse in Evanston, Illinois, but it was cold, rainy, windy. Buckeyes win 21-7. You probably got to see or hear more than I did. Should I be worried about what happened because of how the Buckeyes played when the elements weren't in their favor, or should I slough that off and saying, you know what, that was just one of those Saturday afternoons, we'll get back on track against Maryland? How should I feel after that game?
It's 50-50. I'll tell you, the first thing that stands out is I think at one point there was a measured wind gust of 80 miles an hour. So,
you're kidding me.
So, yes, that ruins everything that C.J. Stroud is trying to do. And it was interesting. One of our affiliates over at iHeartRadio, I'm going to draw a blank, I believe, Matt McCoy. Do we know Matt McCoy?
Yes. Sports update guy.
He threw a comparison out, which was from my senior year down at Ohio State. We go into the first week in November, and we always had that saying, September is for pretenders, November is for contenders, and we go up first week in November, just like Ohio State did this past weekend, take on a 1-7 Northwestern. We went and took on a 2-7 Illinois team in Champaign, and the conditions were miserable. We were the number one team in the country. Troy Smith is putting together a Heisman campaign, and we're really establishing ourselves as a passing team, more of a spread-type team. And we ended up winning 17-10. Yep. But just like the Buckeyes won 21-7 here this past weekend, that score was not indicative of what happened on the field because Northwestern was firmly in control of that game at times. Illinois was firmly in control of us at times back in 2006. But when that weather comes in and it forces you just to be able to run the ball because you can't chuck the ball up in that type of wind and expect that it's going to stay on track. And now offensive coordinators and coaches are worried about turnovers and this and that. So play it safe, run the ball. Well, that defense knows what they're doing. They know what you're doing, and they're going to stack the box. So, it almost felt like when we played Illinois that day in Champaign, every time we ran the ball, there was like 6 guys on that side. Like even if we checked and went to the other side, get the old Ohio call or Omaha, let's go the other way. And it's like they just knew they were there. And every time, this is what, Sam, should I be worried? Ohio State did not look good running the ball.
Here's why I worry.
The offensive line was playing with high pads. They were not low. Northwestern kicked their butts up front, and that's concerning.
That's where I worry because, I will give the benefit of the fact. And C.J. Stroud, by the way, 10 of 26 for 76 yards. 80-mile-an-hour winds, I get it. The wind should not affect your blocking on the offensive line. Northwestern had to play in the same conditions as Ohio State did. The Buckeyes are the Buckeyes. Northwestern, great coach with Fitzy. They're 1-7.
Yep.
I don't care. You should be able to run the ball on Northwestern, and Ohio State couldn't do it. That worries me because last year's game against Michigan in not great conditions, I think we folded a little bit. We folded in the cold rain, and the wind. Michigan kind of ate that up and used that to their advantage. Yes, they were at home. I get it. Ohio State, this is where, I'm going to question the toughness. I'm going to question the toughness of the guys down low.
Yep.
Because you have got to run the ball better against Northwestern. And look, I know they know you're going to run because you're certainly not going to throw into a hurricane. So they know what. But look, Ohio State offensive line, Trey Henderson, Mayan Williams. CJ's not going to run. Okay, there's another issue I have. He's not going to run. So they were able to gang up, but we could not move them off the ball. That worries me.
It does. And, people have said for years, well, we want to see a Bama or an LSU or somebody down in Florida come up in November and have to play in our elements inside of the Big Ten.
Careful.
They're not used to it, and it could cause them to fold. In no way, shape, or form should we have not been prepared to be able to play in any type of elements when you're at Ohio State. You know it's coming. You prepared for it. You've done workouts outside before you ever even went to spring ball. So you know what to expect. You know how to operate in it. And the toughness issue, I think that's something we haven't really been punched in the mouth like we were in the first half of that game against Northwestern. Maybe it'll be a growing up process. Maybe that helps us as we come down the stretch here to, potentially try and throw another national championship up on the board. But, to me, it's just been the same thing all year long with this offensive line at times. It's the fundamental stuff. And I know you've switched from Coach Stud to now Coach Justin Fry, and there's going to be differences, philosophies, schemes, whatever it may be. That still does not take away from the fact that your first 2 steps have to be good. You got to play with low pads. You have to win with your hands. They're just not doing that at certain times. Throw the coaches to the side. You're at Ohio State for a reason. You should already know how to do that stuff. You're not getting a full scholarship out of high school if you don't have good base, good hips, good leverage, good pad level, good hands, good footwork. those are the basic things. And at times I've seen it be very sloppy for the Ohio State offensive line.
That worries me a bit. Now, it could all get fixed against Maryland, who's honestly not very good. They also have, Indiana coming up, who is honestly not very good.
Indiana at
Their
home
coach,
this week, then at Maryland, and then you wrap up already. I mean, with the boys in blue.
Indiana, Tom Allen could be on his way out the door. I think that act is wearing thin in Bloomington. Maryland beats the crap out of everybody in the non-conference. They wants to get into the Big Ten. They get toyed with. That's exactly what's happening again here this year. And then the maize and blue come rolling in. And look here, they got punched up at Rutgers, but they punched back and didn't let them off the mat, and they win at 52-17. So and then, what else happened over the weekend? Bama goes down. They're out. Goodbye. We don't have to worry about Nick Saban. We don't have to worry about anything about Alabama. They're done. All right? Brian Kelly gets a huge win for himself and the program. Clemson got boat raced at Notre Dame. 2 blocked field goals for touchdowns in the Irish, and congratulations to Marcus Freeman. So it's getting goofy now. Georgia handled Tennessee. That game wasn't that close. I think Georgia is about a 24-point favorite over Tennessee, to be honest with you. And they won that one. They won that one going away in the rain down there between the hedges. So it's going to come into focus here. You got Ohio State, Michigan. You'll have the SEC championship game coming up. Don't sleep on TCU. I know they're probably going to get screwed by the committee, but don't sleep on TCU. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. Because of the extenuating circumstances and because the door has been propped open a bit because Bama is out and Clemson will be out, the Pac-12 all of a sudden is creeping back into the picture with USC and Oregon. Whoever wins the Pac-12 championship may have a legit shot at getting in that Final Four. So there's a lot going on here right now. But I think we all can sit here today and say Georgia is the best team in the country, hands down.
And how much does it affect the guys that will vote on who the Final Four are when you saw Cincinnati get in last year and they got hammered by Alabama? I think all of us have kind of wanted things to shake out maybe the way that it did over this past weekend, to be able to see TCU get a shot at getting in. They're playing good football. They're undefeated. Maybe, with their schedule and people saying, they're smaller, they're not as strong as a Tennessee or a Georgia or a Bama or Ohio State. For them to be able to creep back door here now into that number 4 spot, I think it's good for college football. I think it's good to show that we're encompassing all of these schools, and it'll take more shape when I believe, 2026, I think it grows to 12.
It looks like that's where it's headed, yeah.
It makes it a little bit easier for a team like TCU at that point to get in, or the Cincinnatis, if you're sitting there hovering around 8, 9, 10. But, do they look at what happened with Cincinnati last year and say, okay, is it better, as you said, to put in USC or Oregon, who may have a loss or two, over top of TCU, who's undefeated?
I mean, SC's only loss, a 1-point loss at Utah. UCLA only has 1 loss. Okay? So, and then Oregon only has 1 loss, and that was to who? Georgia. But it was 49-3.
Ooh.
I can't throw that one out of there. I mean, that happened. That happened, and we all saw it. Here's your top 10 right now. Number 1, Georgia. Ohio State 2. Michigan is 3rd. Here come the Horned Frogs. TCU is ranked. This is the AP, not the playoff. This is the AP. Tennessee is in at number 5, so they don't fall too far. Oregon 6, LSU 7, Southern Cal 8, UCLA 9, Alabama is at 10. Ole Miss, Clemson 11 and 12, and I think you can forget about everybody else. So just by looking at the top 10 here, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU from the SEC. Ohio State, Michigan from the Big Ten. UCLA, USC, Oregon from the Pac-12. And then you've got TCU from the Big 12. So the power conferences are represented there. Pac-12. I mean, Pac-12, you can laugh at the Pac-12 all you want. They've got 3 in the top 10. You don't spit at that.
No.
You don't spit at that. But you look at the top 5, it's 2 SEC, 2 Big Ten, and 1 Big 12. And how big is Ohio State, Michigan going to be? How big is USC, UCLA going to be? How big is the SEC championship going to be? I mean, a lot going to happen here the next 4 weeks. A lot. It's going to be fun.
And on top of that, we got the Cavaliers playing good basketball.
Yeah, by the way. Hey, when's the last time? I'll put my hand up. When's the last time you watched NBA basketball on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of football season? I'm going to go ahead and say never. It happened yesterday. Now, I wasn't home, but I had them on in the car. And I was devoted for the 2.5 hours.
Yep.
And here's the thing about the Cavs this year. L.A. comes out, guns a-blazing. Lakers are up by 12. And I sat there. I remember I had just come up to a red light. I knew I had about 3 minutes at this particular intersection. I said to myself, I'm not worried one bit. I know the Cavs are going to come back and they're going to wipe this team off the floor, and they did. They did. I wasn't even worried.
That was fun to watch. I mean, I was like you. I was out kind of doing some things. I was listening in the car, and man, I'll tell you what. At one time, I think deep in the fourth, they were up by 15, and
yeah.
You know,
just kind of playing with them.
Yeah, you got to love the mix of how everything's come together, and obviously Donovan Mitchell, huge pickup, and the guys around him, and you know the matchup of I believe was it Jarrett Young down low, Jarrett Allen down low against AD. You know that was.
They tried to help AD. The cotton picking officials called 3 fouls on Jarrett Allen in the first 9 minutes. They were like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So he had to go out. So Grandpa comes in. Kevin Love takes care of business. All right, we're okay. And the Lakers are one of the worst outside shooting teams I've ever seen in the history of the NBA. And the Cavaliers just let them go out there, just keep chucking, boys. And Garland and Spida, I think they combined for almost 40 again. I'm sorry, almost 70 again. Mobley's getting he's getting back from his injury. Kevin off the bench has been outstanding. Grandpa is doing what Grandpa should do, and he loves his role, and those kids love him. They gave the junkyard chain to the coach after the game. They had a nice little ceremony and some pictures in the locker room afterwards. And, by the way, Ricky Rubio's not even dressing yet for the Cavs. He'll be back in February. He'll be back for the stretch run. Guys like Jetty, just filling their role. Robin Lopez just kind of filling his role. They're so fun to watch. They're so likable. They ooze Northeast Ohio, tough, hard-working, likable guys. And I think that's why everybody's rallied around them so much, because you just want to go up and embrace this whole team because that's just who they are. Well, they're still young. They're still growing and still working together.
And you hit on the key word, Northeast Ohio. How many people were just happy to see them go out there and beat LeBron yesterday?
Yeah, that still exists.
There's that.
Still exists. And
don't forget that championship he brought you.
That's right. That still exists. Someday people are going to have to get over that. But
along with Kyrie, the Twitter magician, I guess, these days here.
Boy, he's – you know what? If I never –
different planet.
If I never saw or heard of Kyrie Irving again, I'd be happy. I've reached my limit. Yes, Kyrie, thank you for the shot that beat the Warriors, but I'm really growing tired of his act, and I think a lot of other people are too. We are here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. It is Tozzis on 12th. Sam Bourquin, TJ Downing. Hope you're enjoying another edition here of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. It is our 8th. We've got 27 to go after today. And Jerome Pruett is going to be the guest speaker. We're certainly looking forward to hearing from Jerome and some of the great stories he'll be telling up at the podium. A reminder, our show will be coming to you, is it next weekend or the week after? We'll be back at the Nash Center.
Yes.
At the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's going to be 4 luncheon clubs this year at the Nash Center, and I think they're going to bump those up maybe a little bit next year as well. So we're certainly looking forward to that. Great speakers there, and, of course, great speakers there as well as we move on here in 2022. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything else in here. We got the Cavs. We talked about Ohio State, Robert Morris, Nate Frascone. high school football playoffs, winners, losers, college football, top 25, Wild High School week. Oh, tonight at 10:59 p.m., they're going to draw for $1.9 billion with the Powerball. $1.9 billion. TJ Downing.
Throw a Tensky in there.
Are you in?
See what happens. Oh yeah, when I get some gas this afternoon, man, you got to at least get 5 lines. Got to do it. You know what? I might even stop down by see our good friend Tim Roop at Harmon's Pub. Maybe if I buy him there, I'll get the luck of the Irish.
There you go. There you go. Well, I'm going to hit up a couple places today. It's a mental thing with me.
Spread it around.
I'm going to spread it around. It's like when I used to buy 50-50 tickets at stadiums, I'd go to gates A, B, C, and D. So I think I wasn't going to get jobbed. All right? I'm going to go to a couple places today, and with any luck at all, hopefully, at least one of us at this table will hit the biggie, and we'll take care of all of you. All right, that's going to do it for our pregame here. Up to the podium, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, Week 8 at Tozzis on 12th, Stark Media YouTube channel.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs. Or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Stark Media YouTube channel. Welcome back in. Sammy B and TJ Downing here at Tozzis on 12th in Canton. We just wrapped up. Was it week number 8 already of the Pro? As well, week 9. It was week 9 of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. We are rolling through. And again, Jerome Pruett was our guest speaker today at the podium. Great crowd today. And as Jerome notably pointed out, not one person got up during the speech today. Didn't have to go take an afternoon pill. Didn't have to go to the bathroom. It was great. Everybody hung in there with him. Jerome, thanks for coming on this afternoon. And, wow, we learned so much about you on the field, off the field. And I guess, man, I think we all wish it would have went all the way for you. But things happened. You rebounded. But, things man, what a way to go. Thanks for coming over. How's everything?
Everything is absolutely good. It's so good talking to you again and being a part of this venue. I think really the only reason why I was even invited is because of the relationship between PJ and my son Derek. They were on the swim team together at McKinley. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have probably never had an ounce of thought about bringing me here. So it's good. I hope everybody was entertained. I hope they learned a few little things, about my story. Yeah, I mean, I just thought, and obviously we, especially the two ornery ones here in the corner, we wanted to hear the untold stories, but maybe some other day we'll get into those later on at night somewhere years down the road. But we're not going to wait that long. I was given that. Anytime you want to talk. There you go. There you go. I like it. Okay. So
Did you ever envision, and you took us all the way back to when you were 7, 8 years old, and I think a lot of boys at that age, I guess I would throw my TJ with football, you think about maybe, just maybe, way, way out there someday, who knows, by the grace of God, maybe something really big is going to happen. Did you have any idea the path you were headed down early before what happened with your arm, that you could have something real special at such an early age?
Sam, the answer is yes, and I don't know quite how to qualify this without sounding very, very overconfident, but the fact of the matter is I recognize at a very early age, the 5 things you can do in baseball: hit for power, run, catch, and I'm leaving one out. Hit for power, run, catch, and field. Okay? It was so easy for me. I mean, it was just so easy. And that's why I spoke today about the gift from God. I did not have anything to do with that. Perhaps my mother and father did, okay? But I recognized that at a very early age. And one little quick thing I left out. When I was 9, my first, we all remember Babe Stern when he had a Canton Police Boy Club.
Yep.
He, that year, maybe every year, had somebody down from the Cleveland Indians staff that spoke to Little Leaguers. Now, all the Mighty Mites were surrounded around the infield and the outfield. All teams were there. How many kids were there on one team? 15. So there were a lot of kids there. And Early Wynn was the guest speaker that day. I'll never forget it as long as I live. Early said, just about when he was finished talking to that whole group, he said, now there's going to be 1 or 2 of you young men who could reach the major leagues where I play. And I planted, and I know I'm being emphatic about this, but I planted my feet in the ground and I said, I know the things I can do at this early age. I'm going to be one of those guys. And I made a commitment to myself. I never let up. Because I could do so many good things, okay? Yeah. And so could Ronnie Young.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So could, one of you went to Canton South, didn't you?
No, I went to Canton Central Catholic. But
you went to Central, okay.
But a lot of ties to Canton South.
A lot of ties to Canton South, yeah.
Cousins and things like that.
So I think Ronnie probably had the same opinion, of his talent, yeah.
So with all that God-given ability, but you still got to work hard. You still got to work hard. You got to get lucky once in a while. I am full well assuming you had that drive to work hard and to outwork everybody else. It takes something. Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of people over the decades that had a lot of talent in their pinky, didn't do anything with it. Yeah. What was that like for you as you tried to get on that journey?
At a young age, and I spoke a little bit about it right there, the teachers are your boss, your parents are your boss, the professors are your boss, your early employer is the boss. You're never really in charge until you go to where you are, and then you become a coach, and you become a super announcer on media, okay? Yeah, athletics were my gig, all right? But I wasn't in charge of anything else. So that drove me, because of the confidence level that I had, to be able to advance quickly, but also learn some of the finer points of the game. However, around here, and this is Canton, Ohio, there's never much emphasis put on baseball, as you well know, till coaches started going to camps to hear some of the college coaches talk. Maybe every once in a while to hear a professor. We didn't have anybody that knew anything about pitching. We didn't really have anybody that knew that much about baseball. So when I got a chance to sign that pro contract, man, was that a learning process. That was a learning process, yeah.
Not bad.
So didn't throw any hard. I mean, as you get more stretched out and whatnot, the whip for the arm, yeah, you're throwing harder, the ball's rising up and into right-handers and things like that. But they teach you to understand what a strike and a ball is, the difference, okay, and what batters' weaknesses are. And once you learn those things, which was unheard of around here at that point in time, the only guys, Sam, And this is a real quick one. So, yeah, junior year, Don Eden said, Thurman, try to catch Jerome. Thurman did, and he did. And he did well. I mean, yeah, there were some pass balls, but I was so darn wild. So, anyway, I'll never forget, Cook Park, 3-2 count on whoever we were playing, and it could have been Canton McKinley. 3-2 count, Thurman calls a curveball. Well, that embarrassed me. Thurman shook him off.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And, of course, I think with the correct finger, he put it down again.
Yep.
Curveball.
He sent you a message.
Curveball.
"You're gonna throw this."
And he did send me a message. That's how Thurman was. Okay, God bless him. So I shook him off again. He comes out to the mound. It wasn't nice. He wasn't nice. All right. I thought, well, let's give it a try. And you know that old cliche about guys going after a breaking ball and they almost break their back? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I felt sorry for this kid. I threw the curveball.
You know
he was within 2 feet of it, okay? So once you get in pro ball, they spend a lot of time, just like on the practice field before the games start, they spend a lot of time making you understand what the goal is and the variables that go into accomplishing that goal.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
You did.
Can you speak to, minus the injury that you sustained, how difficult it is to make and play in the big leagues? I mean, we've had you guys were talking about your cousin, Ronnie Bourquin, and I. We went to Ohio State together. You know, we were great friends. Got to see him from a catbird's view of becoming Big Ten Player of the Year, getting drafted into the second round by the Detroit Tigers. And, you know, you just kind of think, I mean, I guess you look at the drafts of basketball, football, you go into second round, it's almost like it's a guarantee that you would play. And for him, I mean, I know he went around 8-9 years with like the Pioneer League, and then, you know, we've had some guys around here lately, DJ Wilson, Dingler, Nicholas, the guys from over there in Jackson. How difficult is it really to make a big league team, because there's so much competition? You got the guys down south, out of the country, they can play year round, and for us up here in this area, you know, you're on the clock right now.
Yeah.
Now we have great facilities around here where you can do the indoor stuff, but just how difficult is it? And is it the most difficult of any professional sport to make that team?
I could bounce that question right back to you, because you guys were in areas where I wasn't familiar with. The most difficult game, hands down, no question about it, is golf.
Yep.
We have one ball, one bat, one tennis bag. You got 14 tools and all the outdoor variables. That is the most difficult. And I know you guys know this, and you totally understand it because you played baseball, okay? People say, theoretically, it's the hardest thing to do in sports. You had a baseball coming in. Back in my era, if you threw 85 miles an hour, that was the average major league fastball. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a young guy, and the guns were new, okay? They were new. They weren't quite official yet. I don't think they became official till like 68 or 69. Well, this was 67. So, you know, by the time I did get that big league contract, I'm throwing anywhere between 94. And if I want to hump it, yeah, it's measuring 100. Was it 98? Was it 102? I have no idea. I got to show you something else over here. So difficulty for us guys who were so blessed to be able to hit a baseball. Forget about catching. Almost anybody can do that. And running, you know, you can't teach. Okay, that's a gift too. But I don't think it was the most difficult thing in sports to do for me. Now then, what about the other 99.95% of the people who say, I couldn't hit a lick. I tried, I couldn't hit a lick. I don't walk in their brain and their body. Yeah. I don't know. So it's a tough question to answer, TJ.
Yeah,
it is difficult. There's so many levels.
You know what I mean?
It's not that big of a differential, though. Yeah. Remember in Little League when you were 12, okay, and now you're going on to 13. About 75% of the kids dropped off. They had to find something else to do.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In A-ball, they're signing the best of the best no matter where you come from, just like Ohio State. Okay. And Joe Burrow never got a chance to play.
Yeah.
It's a sad story for Ohio State. But they did well without him, okay? But it's just a sad story. So if there's a position play, let's say you start in A-ball. Most teams right nowadays, I think they have 2 levels of A-ball.
I think it's low A, high A, right? Or there's
we had
league,
3. When I played, you always
yeah.
had 3, yeah.
That's why there's so many
low A,
levels.
Yeah. So you start seeing these guys, all right? Yeah, I went down to Rock Hill, and I'm throwing the ball by most everybody. I didn't see a big difference in what I did, okay? But since you guys never batted against me, and I've been told because I never batted against me either, all right? But not only was the speed, I threw a real light fastball. The speed, yes, it was there. But
movement.
I threw a four-seamer, okay? I didn't even know what a four-seamer was. I just threw it that way, yeah. Okay? So by the time they're catching up with the ball, if they did catch up with it, and I only saw 2 guys around here when I was young in high school, that the bat was almost right there where it was supposed to be making contact with the bat. And believe it or not, it was Bob Gladio.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I don't think he ever got a hit off of me, but I thought, Bob, what are you doing right out there getting ready to meet the ball? And Bobby Belden.
Yeah.
Bob Belden.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 guys that I can remember that were right there, and I didn't like it. So I humped up a little bit harder, okay? So in hopes of answering your question, it's a tough game to advance in the A and A ball, high A and low A, because there's so many kids, but 75% of them, maybe even more than, I do not know the statistic on that, are not going to see either high A ball or double A ball, okay? So the cut. Look at C.J. Wilson. Is that? Okay.
From Canton South.
DJ Wilson.
DJ.
Well, it was drafted by the Cubs, I believe.
Yeah.
Phenomenal around here. Phenomenal. Speed.
Great wheels, base running, all that.
Great wheels, yeah.
Great shortstop, I believe. Shorter second, I think, kind of jockeying back and forth.
And he campaigned for about 4 or 5 years, and really I don't think he ever got past high A ball, right?
Yeah.
There's a good example of how tough it is. For me, it wasn't, okay? I was the boss when I was out on that mound.
Yeah.
All right, like I said before, you got to try to hit me, and I don't think you can. Now, for the average pitcher, let me try to explain this a little bit further. You see, guys, every team has 2 relievers that throw 98, 99, 100, 101, okay? That didn't occur back in my day. But I think maybe one of the reasons is pitching was old school, conventional pitching. Up and in, down and away, change speeds, okay? There wasn't a big emphasis on throwing that hard because usually when guys would try to throw that hard, they were balls.
Right.
All right, they get away. If they didn't know where the ball was going, yeah. Modern-day baseball dictates that you have to have that because every team has. So if you're capable of throwing that hard, particularly in the last 15 years, okay, you're going to advance. They want that fastball up there. The one that comes right from here, you notice in the playoffs, the World Series, the guys that come from right here throwing 100, they're timed.
Time them up.
They're timed, okay? Yep. The guys who have the live fastball, okay? So there are segments of separation there. Guys lop off and lop off and lop off. Now, when you get into AAA, I skipped AA and got the big league contract. When you get into AA, now there's a difference, okay? It's not huge. You get into AAA, these guys are just mainly waiting for somebody to get traded. Yep. You've been around here long enough. You were down at Munson Field all those years. I mean,
you're one step away.
You're one step away.
Right there.
You either get a chance or you don't get a chance. Yep. Yeah. So I hope that answers your
No, it does because you always think, and again, the emphasis is on football here, and to a little extent hoops. But baseball, I think, doesn't get a fair shake, and Mother Nature has a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, hopefully someday that will change. But you always think, oh, that guy's a surefire. He's going. He's going to get there. And, you can only ride the bus so many years and eat the fast food and live and stay in the crap hotel. Folks, it's a real thing. It's not a lot of it gets embellished in movies and things, but it's really no way to live.
Yeah.
Okay?
You don't start flying you don't start flying into the G5s until you've made it.
No.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Hard.
Is this live?
No.
Are you sure you can edit some of this stuff out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the guys hung around for a year or two because of the chick chasing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're leaving
there.
that in.
Right.
We're leaving that in.
No,
it's all part of it. It's all.
Well, when I had my brief stint with the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL, I can't begin to tell you how many guys just on a weekly basis, their thing was, hey, weekend, we're going to Vegas. It's like, wow, man, like rest, recuperation, all that. Now we're going to Vegas. I'm like, okay.
Going to Thailand.
I'm in.
We're going to Vegas. We're going to Vegas. It's just the way it is. But just you got to make your own luck. You got to work hard. Obviously, you got to have that intestinal fortitude, that drive, and you got to have a little. Hey, I'm better than you. You got to have that.
Lots of it.
You have to look at guys like Tom Brady. Think, oh, they're cocky. No, Jordan. You got to have that. You got to say, I'm better than you. And I love the Bob Gibson story. Yeah. Because I heard growing up, my dad used to tell me, hey, Gibby he'd buzz that ball right up by your nose and say, that's my plate, not yours. That's what he would tell me. I love that story. And obviously that rubbed off on you. I mean.
It drove another nail of thought in me. I told you that. Sam, TJ, I couldn't figure out, why are you talking to me like that, Hoot? Remember Hoot Gibson, the cowboy? Yeah, Hoot, that was his nickname. Just listen to me. Yeah. He was prepping myself
for what was coming.
At that point in time. I don't think he ever did it in Mike Torres at all. I was young for my age. I mean, I was just young. But that's when Al Jackson pulled me aside. I think he felt a little sorry for me. Mm-hmm. He said, here's the strategy of what Hoot was telling you, okay? I didn't know. I'd have walked away. I think I would have started crying when I went to bed that night, the way he was talking to me. Now, I'm being overzealous when I say something like that.
But still, Gibby you didn't want to mess with him.
You did not want to mess with him.
Because one wrong slip or turn, that he was going to get you.
You betcha.
So that's the guy you wanted in your foxhole, for sure. And it sounds like you did.
Well, I forgot to tell. There were so many little things I wanted to inject, but I just didn't have time to do it. But
1 o'clock comes quick.
Yeah. When PJ said, we got 45 minutes to talk, Jerome, I thought.
What am I going to do?
Yeah,
I'm going to get this all in.
I need some more stories.
But you do.
Right?
Yeah.
You get your own, it rolls, it goes through your like, we're done already.
The same thing, and all of a sudden, don't think I didn't think about this for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, okay? I couldn't have peeled off all this stuff that quickly anyway. But what was the last question? I forget what I was going to say.
Where were we? I forget. We got all caught up in the moment here. All the three of us, speechless. Can you believe it? The three of us, speechless, and nobody's even in here watching us right now.
Do you know who this kid is?
Oh, that's the Cadillac.
Oh,
that's the great. That's the great Cole Miller.
The greatness that is
Bruce
Cadillac.
Brennan actually gave him the name Cadillac.
Is
true?
That right?
True story. Yep.
Has he been that? Has he been crippled all of his life? Or?
Yeah, he's I got you probably the first time I met him was at it was a Louisville football or basketball game, and they would always have him in his chair, either on the sideline or midcourt, and that was his spot. And he was, go Blue, go Leopards. He'd sit there and he'd MF the other students and the coaches and the referee. Oh yeah, he did. He was very passionate.
Mouth like a sailor.
He still has a dirty mouth, and he'll do it. And he's into playing the numbers, and he's sharp, but he just
I couldn't believe it.
He's a huge Stark County fan, and we got to get our relationship there. And he's been coming here for years. He'll sit in the back. He'll usually fire off a question. But he didn't get to it today. But he's a little legend around here.
I think the young man with him said that he was his roommate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "Here's my telephone number. I mean, I'll give that kid as much time as he wants."
Yeah.
Oh,
as long as I don't see it start going way to the left or something like that. I know where we were. The passion
Yes.
The passion.
Yes.
Yeah. The two guys that I was right behind them, okay, but I wasn't quite them. The two guys with the most expressive, transparent passions for being competitive were Thurman and Gibson.
Yep.
Thurman and Gibson. I was right behind Thurman. This isn't on air, right?
Right, yep.
Nope.
I'll tell you something hardly anybody knows. Thurman and I are probably the only two guys in the history of high school football that ever got in fights with each other while we're playing the other team. Now,
You two were on the sideline, got into a disagreement?
Boom, 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 boom.
That's great. That's passion for you.
And it was. As soon as I walked in, I mean, I picture myself as one of the friendliest guys you'll ever run into, okay? Yeah, I made my life as a salesman.
Like
okay?
Sid, step
And
between those
and
white
a mark-
lines.
That's right.
Become a different person. You have to.
I don't want to hurt you, but you're not going to beat me.
Yeah.
You are not
wanna kick
going to
your
beat
ass.
me.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I mean, who can speak? Was your prolific sport football or baseball?
Baseball.
So it was baseball.
Yeah.
So you went to Ohio State?
No, Ronnie, my cousin, went to
Ronnie
Ohio State.
did, yeah.
Ronnie went to Ohio State, and I got drafted by the Tigers, and we talked. He bounced around for years and years and just could. He had he got injured. Again, the injury, you got to put the injury bug always comes into play. He just couldn't stay healthy. He had shoulder issues, but he was a great third baseman. Hey, a left-handed hitting power third baseman. You didn't see many of those.
Never.
But he couldn't. He
Sammy
couldn't stay healthy.
Sammy was the big righty with the fork-ball and the
you worked the plate.
I was a pitcher, but
2-year stretch. I don't think anybody could get to you.
No, but unlike you, I couldn't hit worth a lick.
Yeah.
After I hit up until my sophomore year in high school, and Doug Miller was my coach at Central. He brought 7 of us up as freshmen. We took our lumps, got our ass kicked the first year, and then we were the big bullies for 3 years. And but I couldn't hit worth it. Couldn't.
Well,
I could when I was little.
Yeah.
I could when I was little, but I just.
And that's why Joe Gilhausen didn't want me on his teams, because I went to Glen Oak, and he said, listen, you can't. Your arm is terrible. He said, I was the guy from the point where the grass hit the dirt and took the jump. Is like, where am I at here, right? I'll play on the offensive line and go against the biggest, nastiest dude that you got. But when that ball's coming at me, I'm like, oh, where do we go here now, right? And then the curveball, it's like
the knee buckler,
swing and a miss. Don't be a fastball. I can crank it out the park. And Joe just looked at me. He goes, you know what? I think your ticket is on the offensive line. So go talk to Mike Gravilla.
Give me back our baseball cap. Go talk to Mike.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mike was a coach, a football coach.
He was a football coach.
Gravilla was
and
little Gravilla.
He was under Bob Cummings at Glen Oak, and then after Bob had passed, then Mike still taught there at Glen Oak, but then he transitioned into offensive line coach at McKinley. It was part of those two big state championships.
Is that right?
But I came on the backside of 3-4 years after those back-to-back state titles, and have a great relationship with Eric and Mike Musey and all those guys that played on those teams. I mean, that set the bar, and baseball was it, man. Joe Gilhausen was one of the most intimidating people walking those hallways.
Yep. Smiling Joe.
You didn't want to piss that dude off.
No.
We're together quite a bit during the summertime, fishing, golfing, that with Larry Grove. And he told me, we got into a conversation about this. I don't know. This was probably late July, early part of August. And I said, Joe, you were known as Smiling Joe. I can say anything to Joe, okay? He is a sensitive guy, though. I mean, he's kind of a sensitive guy. Yeah, you're Smiling Joe. But you know what? His 2 sisters and his mother never smile.
Wow.
So he just inherited that, okay? But I said, Joe, I was talking to somebody else who played baseball, during your era, and he made a comment about Joe. And I said, well, yeah, I know. I never played for Joe. We're buddies, going back Little League days. But I said, he's fine. So I told Joe that story. It was only about 2 weeks after that, and he said, I tell my players I'm not here to make friends.
Yep.
I could never say that to anybody
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I don't want to scare you. I just want to make it better as a coach.
Right. Right.
And if you listen to me, you have a chance of getting at least a little bit better. But Joe was adamant, TJ.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make friends. We're playing a tournament game over at Packard Park in the Class A League, the Northeast Ohio League, NEO, okay? And Joe went to school with a couple of these guys that we were playing against, and they were from the Youngstown, Warren area, and something was needed, okay? Carolyn Gilhausen needed something. So she said, Joe, why don't you go over and, ask your two friends from Kent State if No. So Carolyn comes over to me like in the 8th or 9th inning. She said, Jerome, could you do me a favor? I said, well, Carolyn, of course. What do you want? She said, could you talk to a couple of those guys and ask them if they can, whatever the favor was? And I said, sure. She said, Joe won't do it.
Joe won't do it.
That's just his makeup.
Yeah.
And you cannot get close to the guy unless you grew up together.
Yep.
Yeah, but I got a letter from him. It was on a spiral wound. You know how long ago that was? I got it in the mail from him. Shirley and I have been in this house for 16 years. This was probably 5 years prior to that. Joe Gilhausen returned the stamp. He said he cherished our friendship. And I'm thinking,
you're probably like, what?
Did somebody plagiarize something?
Right?
Joe saying
Right.
something
Just
like
you.
that? But that's deep down inside. He does have feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's a hot take right here.
That's a hot
Joe
take.
Gilhausen sending love letters to his boy.
Oh,
Man, that's great, man.
yeah.
Somewhere down there, Joe. We knew you had a sweet spot.
What do
in
you
you.
guys do with this? Do you edit portions of it? And
Yeah, we tighten it up, throw in our
Yeah.
commercials, jazz it up a little bit, and then
okay.
it's for everybody
Yeah.
to listen to out there in social media
Out there.
land, internet land. And
It's everywhere, Jerome. It'll be You're going to be everywhere.
So you mean now if I Google myself, all right?
there you go.
It could be here. It could be there.
Yep.
Yep.
You'll be
We'll
you're
give you a couple addresses to get on
this
Stark
is
Media
cool.
YouTube channel.
overnight sensation.
Twitter, Facebook.
I
You're
hope
gonna
none of
be
my
everywhere.
I hope not all of my teammates in professional ball are dead, okay? Because they might just trip right into this thing. Especially
and all of
never
your
know.
and all of your stuff up there, your speech today was all recorded, and
Yeah, that's all up there.
that was live for everybody to
That's
be able to watch
live.
on YouTube.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So great stuff.
real quickly
Yeah.
here, okay? Major League Spring, after Roger's family got down to Roger Maris, Mike and I roomed together. Because we were, like I said, two phenoms of the organization coming up quick. And I come walking in from the movies one night. I'm guessing it was 10:30, 11 o'clock. I went to the movies by myself. And I unlocked the door. There's only two beds there, okay? Two single beds. I see the covers. Now I'm from here to TJ. I see the covers going.
little action going on under there.
Huh. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh man, that's my first year in pro ball. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, maybe that movie's a double. I'm gonna head back to the theater.
I'll see you when I see you. Or I'll hear you when I hear you. One
So
of the two.
doing about face. I go out. I sit out there for, I don't know, 12, 15 minutes.
Still at it.
Oh.
Didn't even put anything on the door.
Rabbits.
No,
the little red sash or something.
Mike could attract a good-looking Mexican kid from Topeka, Kansas, 6'5". They met. I like to hang around with them just so I can get in front of them, so they could look at me too. So anyway,
That's why I used to hang out with Ronnie Bourquin. I used to hang out with Ronnie. I said, Ronnie, you're a good-looking dude, man. If I'm just hanging out with you and getting your leftovers, I'm in a good spot.
well, that's kind of what happened to finish the story. So I walked into the bathroom. I said, "Screw you, Mike." All right. I came back. All right. I lay down in bed. I said, "I don't give a shit. I want to go to bed." To myself. This girl gets up and son of a gun, she wraps a blanket around her. But oh no, I haven't seen Shirley, my girlfriend, my fiance, for 2 months now. so she leaves. I said, rooms. I gave you a chance, man. Why didn't you hurry up? He said, I wanted you to come over and join me. He said, she'd have taken on both of us. Now, he got into her twice. She had to be a nymph, okay?
Oh.
I'm not exaggerating.
Send it in, Jerome.
Yes. Bring in the big lefty.
He'll referee. Send it in, Jerome. Oh, my.
Anyway, so much for that. Yep, the passion, you got to have it. You got to think you're the best, the greatest, and you're not going to settle for anything other than first place. You're not always first place, you know that, okay?
Right.
But
you,
that's the
you got to
goal.
think it, yeah.
That's the goal.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there. Jerome, thanks for coming
Well,
over.
hey,
This was a
good
blast.
talking to you
Great
guys.
job
I
today.
heard so much about
Outstanding.
you and
Thank
your
you.
dad from John Whitaker.
Yeah.
okay?
John was a great guy. Great guy.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who you were, even though I was introduced to you.
John, I grew up around John. We met through a lot of guys that were Air Force, Army guys over in Vietnam, and we all kind of got brought together and through some different projects there at Suarez. John he followed closely along with my high school career as I got ready to go to Ohio State, and then unfortunate circumstances happened and we lost John. But what a great guy he was.
He was.
I have such fond memories of him, and just was a great guy. And his wife Sue. Wait, am I?
Golly, what was her name? Man, I can't think of
it was
it right
Sue.
now.
Great
I was
lady.
only around her 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
but
great family.
good
Miss
girl.
John dearly.
Yeah, he was drinking too much, and
Life
he had
has
back
an interesting
pains
way
and-
of working
Well,
things
then,
out.
Did you know the DeMarcos then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How sad about Mike? You know Mike DeMarco? How sad was that one? Judas.
Life
Yeah.
can throw some crazy
Life
stuff at you.
is- Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
Well, my son's battling
scary.
cancer. The kid that was sitting right here.
Oh, I'm
across
sorry
my
to hear
way.
that.
Yeah. It's you guys probably have heard of this one. I had no idea. It's called H for human, P, and I've never seen the word spelled, virus, HPV.
Human papilloma virus.
So you know
Yeah.
all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this tumor started growing right here on his neck, okay? I mean, he's in his last week of radiation right now, and it looks like it was a 93% success rate anyway with this thing.
So good results thus far from the oncologist.
Yeah, he
and
said
doctors
he's
and everything.
even beyond the curve.
Good.
Yeah, he's on the good side of the curve. But, God, when you hear that about your kids,
Yeah.
your wife, your husband, mom, dad, even
Those are
sister.
things you can kind of expect as the
Yeah.
years go along, but
It's not
not
supposed
your,
to be
not
the
your
other way
child.
around.
No.
Oh, my. He's a general sales manager for Lepo Heavy Equipment. Yeah. So,
Lepo Rents, is that what they call it? Okay.
Yeah. yeah.
Wow. Well, continued,
Anyway,
Good
man,
stuff for that.
it's been a long time
know,
catching
brother.
up to you.
I know,
You're
I
always
know.
busy if I'm in somewhere, in the audience.
Thank you,
TJ,
Jerome. I
good
appreciate
meeting
it.
You. Yeah.
Thank you.
How tall are you, by the way?
6'4".
6'4".
So you are 6'4".
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Gravity's starting. My dad will tell you gravity's starting to set in a little bit. He used to be 6'4". He's about 6'2" now. So I guess
6'2"?
I'm gonna start
Yeah.
I'm starting my decline.
Go under
Yeah.
decline.
So one quick question, 2 questions. When you're with a lot of the best talent in the country in a venue like Ohio State
Yeah.
and Alabama and Clemson, I mean, how patient can you get to get playing time?
Well, now
When you're
it's
just as good as the guy that started.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
It's changed so much now with this transfer portal because if you're not playing the next day, put your name
Yeah.
in there. You don't even have to tell your coach.
You leave.
You know, we
Is
heard
that
that
right?
from Jamie Beckler a couple weeks ago. Just see you later. Competition, commitment, all that stuff's out the door. I'm just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But to me, it's and I learned it from him. You get there and everybody's all state, everybody was all county, everybody's the best at what they do. What is going to carry you above that? One, when you step between those white lines, you have no friends. Look out for yourself because nobody else will. And 2, it's what you have right here because those are the things you can't measure on paper. You can run the 40, you can run the mile, you can bench 2 1/4, whatever it is. You can't measure that in there. And it's a lot of the times, as with the psychology of things, the game, any game you really play, it's 90% mental, 10% physical.
Yeah.
Everybody's strong and fast. Who is got it up here? And there's a lot of dudes, and that's where I kind of made my bones on way to becoming All Big Ten and All American at Ohio State was I was mentally stronger than other guys, and I could use mental warfare to break guys down. You know?
Do you have to have a higher IQ to attain what you just mentioned?
No, because I don't think I don't know where mine registers at.
Well,
I wouldn't say it's
I've always
high,
heard
but
the offensive linemen were some of the most intelligent people on the football.
you have
field.
to be, because there's so much going on in front of you with blitzes and coverages and stunts and all those things going on with only 25 seconds to be able to get the ball off at that level. It happens so fast. You have to be very aware and the intelligence has to be there. There's no stupid offensive lineman out there. Unless the guy's just a 6'6", 330-pound road grader that the guy next to him tells him what to do and then
Just
go.
doesn't. Pancake City. That's it.
But you have to watch the line, but you have to know the play, of course, and you have to think in your mind, okay, if they do this, I got to react that way. If they do that, I see that, I got to react that way. Okay,
Or if those guys do this, then we're going to check it. We're going to go the other direction. You know,
Gotcha.
so there's so many different things, and that's really why a lot of people will say they relate it as close to like going into war and battle, just minus the bullets, because there's so much flying around.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast.
And your brain has to click
God,
so
the
fast.
The multitasking is through the roof.
Yeah. If you had a chance to talk to the, oh my God, how do I pronounce her name? Giavasso, the girl that's running for state representative. Married to Gilbert.
Yeah.
From Arizona. He played for Arizona Cardinals.
Marcus Gilbert.
Marcus Gilbert,
Yes,
yeah.
I have not, but I have talked with Marcus Gilbert before, and he actually was on the team that beat us in the national championship.
Really?
We made the national championship. It was the first year that they had it at Glendale. It was the last year they used the BCS format, and they tuned us up pretty good, 41-14.
Oh, is that
so we got
right?
to the highest mountaintop, saw it all come crumble down.
Hey, where did he go?
He was with the Florida Gators, and then he got drafted to play with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I heard stories about him with the
He was a
Steelers.
big fella. Big fella.
Big guy. Can you imagine what this she's pregnant. You've seen her on
Yeah, I've seen
television.
her ads. Yeah.
The kid's going to be either
Offensive lineman.
5'3", or he's going to be an offensive lineman.
6'7", 320.
She's only about that high. Holy Toledo. Yep. They bought Ted Swaldo's house out there in the Meadowlands. Marcus bought that house.
And then they have the golf course now, too, right?
Seven Hills, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Ted Swaldo's house?
I'm sure it's impressive.
No,
I
not only.
might not want to.
Well, not only. Well, just go to the Meadowlands, okay? Sometime you're going down Portage. Just turn, if you're going toward Canal Fulton, gone west, turn into the Meadowlands and follow it back to where the hill starts, going like that, and it's on the right-hand side.
Okay.
It's a beauty.
Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Now, I'm going to get out of here, too, but the biggest house I've ever seen, and I can't, is the guy that I work for, Ben. 33,000 square feet. And it is 33,000 square feet. Yeah.
It's a lot of property. What do you do with all that?
What do you do
with all that?
I mean, I'm sure you
Pay
figure it out.
taxes.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
a hell of a party.
Right? God.